Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TBL's Pokemon Grand Prix run. We are here in Week 5 in desperate need of a win. We are taking on the IBA, and there are just a couple weeks left, and we are still not in a playoff position right now, but in a position to potentially make playoffs, depending on how we play. So we can't afford team losses anymore. Individual losses obviously aren't that important. It's just about the team. Now, one thing I want to say before we get too far into this video is that there will be a couple more weeks of these no matter what. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this format, but nobody's really given me any true feedback other than the fact that they liked the fact that I post-narrate after I speed up the battles. Things like this are important for me doing leagues moving forward, especially once I start recording on Switch for Sword and Shield, since the UBL will be coming to a close soon on my channel, and the PGP will also be coming to a close soon here on the channel, regardless of how far we go. I don't know what I'm necessarily going to do to fill the time with in between the last league that I'm doing, which is the UBL, and the Sword and Shield's release. So hopefully you guys give me some ideas and want some content from me, and if you do, say something, and I will hopefully be able to provide it for you. But either way, we are going to jump in here with the first battle, which is going to be Manbird's battle here this week in the PGP. Again, we are taking on the IBA this week, and we are the TBL, the Twitch Battle League. We stream our battles live on Twitch. We are the first league and only league to do that consistently. While that's not required, it is highly encouraged, and many of the coaches do it much more than in other leagues. So I definitely encourage you guys to check that out. We are currently hosting the TBL Summer League, which I post updates to on my Twitch channel. But anyway, Manbird's here. We see first turn, first battle. It is going to be a Cassib Berry on the Slowbro, able to take the Shadow Ball and fire off a Thunder Wave, slowing down this Gengar that it is facing. Gengar is going to be paralyzed now, and while the Slowbro did its job and survived, it is definitely not going to want to stay in and take another Shadow Ball, since it is still going to get outsped by the Gengar here now. However, he does go into the Tyranitar as his opponent makes an incredible prediction and goes for the Fightinium Z, just like last week, picking up where we left off. We are rocking out with Fightinium Zs up the wazoo here. Everybody and their mother can run a Fightinium Z on their Pokemon, and it's just the way it's going to go. Now, Tyranitar is going to be in the Sandstorm, so it is going to have some boosted special defense. We're going to see that do a ton of damage. It brings it down to 37 HP, and it ate its Chople Berry. So 2 berries too much for his opponent, as Manbird is going to have 2 Pokemon that could be dead, still alive. Gengar does at this point get fully paralyzed as the Gyarados, wow, the Tyranitar goes for the pursuit and brings the Gengar down to very low health, where it goes down with Sandstorm to about 1 HP, and the Tyranitar is going to switch out, not wanting to risk the Focus Blast landing at this point, and bring in the Excadrill as his opponent goes for a Sludge Wave, and the Excadrill is going to be able to be immune to that, as the Gengar is going to drop. Sandstorm is up, the Excadrill is in. It's everything that he wants, and so we are going to see that despite that, like, crazy predictions and early turns, I am speeding up these battles. Slowbro is going to come in. It shows the Seismic Toss, which it's going to utilize on this Finny, and then Psyshock into the Scizor. Sand is gone. Scizor goes into the Zapdos with its U-turn, and that's going to always be in Zapdos' favor. Zapdos is very, very good against Scizor, just as a reliable switch-in to it most of the time. However, with I don't know if rocks are up, but if they are, then the Zapdos is going to get chipped down a little faster than he wants it to. So he's going to switch out and avoid going into the Zapdos on the Scizor for now, trying to get it back in later. We do see the Slowbro actually go for a Psyshock here on this Mega Lopunny. Not afraid of it. Down to 69 HP. Goes down to 9 on the return. Actually survives. I'm not sure if that means it was not max happiness Lopunny. I'm honestly not sure of the calc there, but that seems like very little damage. I know Slowbro is incredibly defensive, but still, being able to take out that Mega Lopunny is massive, as the Hapu Fini is now forced to come back in on the Slowbro, which does have more switch-ins thanks to Regenerator. Tapu Fini is going to take out the Tyranitar here with Surf, but that does set up the Sand for the Excadrill, which can Rapid Spin away the Rock. That's all it's going to be able to do as Finny continues to surf away, but Zapdos now in without Rocks up is going to be able to roost and stall out some of the turns of Sand now that he has set up for himself, as the Finny decides not to go for the Nature's Madness, but instead for the Moonblast here, which does less damage, obviously, to that Zapdos. Sandstorm subsides as the Finny lives a hit from the Salazzle, which drops, and the Mega Pinsir now comes in. And Mega Pinsir is going to Mega Evolve. It is going to go for the return and take out the Tapu Fini. Now, this is where Manbird, I believe, believes that he did not do his best job. In comes the Moltres. Now, he's afraid of Scarf Moltres, as he reasonably should be since he has a Mega Pinsir. But he does decide to switch it out. He's got the Slowbro, which can tank hits from the Moltres at this point. And Moltres goes for the Flamethrower. And is going to burn the Slowbro, meaning that the Moltres can go for the Flamethrower again, not being forced to go for an Air Slash or anything like that, and not reveal what item it is. Now, that burn ending up coming in huge here as Slowbro is just continuously getting chipped down. It could have a lot more HP. Instead, it's down to basically nothing. Pinsir is forced to Swords Dance at this point as the Donphan goes for the Stone Edge. Connects it, but it's burned, so it lives. The Pinsir lives. Don't forget, Mega Pinsir has the same defensive stat as Donphan, as base 120 defense. So don't think that it can't take a hit if it needs to in a pinch. So anyway, with the Donphan burned, the Mega Pinsir now at +2. It goes for the Quick Attack. Now, the Moltres is not forced to reveal that it is or is not Scarfed yet because of the fact that it got that burn on the Flamethrower. And so he is going to switch out his already +2 Mega Pinsir. Return would take out a non-Scarf Moltres. In comes the Slowbro. Moltres goes for the Flamethrower, and that is, again, going to put the Slowbro in range of a second Flamethrower. So the Pinsir is forced to come out here, and Slowbro does come out. We do see the Moltres not switching up its moves here, and so we do not know if it is Scarfed or not, but if it was not Scarf Moltres, then the Mega Pinsir would have won the game, but instead, we do see the Scizor come in at the end, go for the Bullet Punch, and take out Slowbro, and that is going to do it. Game 1 going to the IBA, as the TBL will just fight again here. Heff going to take on his game now in Game 2. So we are jumping through these battles. Hopefully you guys continue to enjoy this content. Again, I do these little pitches right at the battle starting because I don't really have anything else to say because not much is going on. But Heff is going to jump in right here. Jolteon his lead, facing off against Infernape from his opponent. And the Jolteon obviously having the slight upper hand, but going for the Protect to scout what the Infernape wants to do. Doesn't want to take a Scarfed Earthquake right now, as the Infernape actually goes for the Flare Blitz. And Jolteon gets the Flame Orb up, so it is going to be able to outspeed any Scarf Infernape. Goes for that Volt Switch, as the Goodra is the decision to switch in here. And it lives both that plus an Ice Punch from the Gallade, as the Gallade is going to be smashed with the Draco Meteor, but it is going to survive that and be able to fire off a Drain Punch into the Blastoise. As the Goodra comes in on the Toxapex, which is going to get a free Toxic and a free Recover, as the Goodra is forced to just hit the Toxapex as hard as possible, but Toxapex with Recover and Black Sludge, oh, it's not Black Sludge, Recover is going to be able to survive basically any hit from the Goodra at this point, as the Hydreigon comes in and starts trying to take down this Necrozma, which sets up with a few Calm Minds here, and Hydreigon is forced to go out into the Scizor, as the Necrozma gets very, very antsy to go for that Heat Wave, kills the Scizor through Akaberry, since it's +3, and shows the Moonlight. So Hydreigon gonna have to figure out a way to break this Necrozma, which is now at +4. But thankfully, with the Landorus here, Heff is going to be able to just decide to pop off a Z-Fly, doing everything he can to not lose straight up to a Necrozma that is at +4/+4. And Landorus is going to be his best chance to do so, since this Necrozma is obviously not going to outspeed. It did go for the Calm Mind and let the Landorus get in for free. Landorus firing off that Flyanium Z and taking out the Necrozma. A big, big kill for Heff here, not to lose to that and to find a way to break it. Now, revealing that he is Z, probably not the worst thing in the world at this moment in time, since he needed it to kill that Necrozma now as opposed to later. And Toxapex is going to be able to 1v1 this Blastoise pretty well. Blastoise shows the Seismic Toss, but the Rocky Helmet on the Toxapex is going to be able to wear that down if it is going to try to Seismic Toss, recover. Plus Toxic is going to win that battle ultimately for the Toxapex, as the Landorus comes in and Swords Dances, fires off an EQ, doesn't quite take out the Blastoise, which goes for a Scald, which doesn't quite take out the Landorus, and the Landorus decides to go for a fly at this point, but does eventually go down to the Rabombi, firing off Moonblasts, as the Jolteon still outspeeds everything, including Scarf Infernape, Scarf Rabombi, and is going to try to kill things, but is going to have to leave while the Toxapex sees the Quiver Dance and doesn't quiver at all. His opponent now firing off his own Z-Fly does kill the Hydreigon here, but the Mega Gallade knows that it is no longer Scarf Lando and he doesn't have to worry about it. So now with the Protect, he is going to scout out what his opponent wants to do. Shows to be Scarfed Infernape. The Drain Punch comes out from the Gallade, which is going to put the Gallade out of range of the Infernape, and that is going to mean that the Earthquake, which is going to be fired off here, is not going to take out the Mega Gallade. And with that, the TBL will be going back to 1-1 in this series. So we are looking okay right now. It's early. We're going to try to see if we can't break through. We need a win here this week in order to stay super relevant in this league. And so we're looking for it. We're really hoping that we can pull that off. And next up, we're going to have Playmaker's matchup here as our third battle of the TBL. 1-1 right now, so we're in we're in a good spot. So thankfully we'll be able to at least say we didn't get swept, but hopefully we can pull out a victory, a 4 wins out of 7 victory, and come through this week. Now, Gallade is going to switch out as the Togekiss was Playmaker's lead of choice. Jolteon is going to come in on that Togekiss. Not sure whether he's going to go for Thunder Wave or Air Slash. Either one, Jolteon is perfectly willing to tank, and the Togekiss does not want to see Jolteon, which goes for the Toxic, hits the Umbreon, which Toxic's back with Synchronize, and now shows the Heal Bell. So now just Jolteon is poisoned, as the Gallade predicts the Togekiss to come in and Ice Punches, but the Umbreon stays in, not fearing the close combat, apparently. As Togekiss shows the Defog on the Gligar, Suicune comes out now. Shows to be a physically defensive Suicune based on how much damage that Air Slash did, as this Togekiss continues to just wear down his opponent's team with Air Slashes, Thunder Waves. This Jolteon is toxic and gets frustrated, goes for the Electric type attack, and does run into the Zeraora. Gligar now hitting the Umbreon. I mean, right now Playmaker looks like he's making the plays that he needs to make in order to win this game. As Umbreon is now in here and is heal-belling burns for things, is just making sure that everything is healthy. But his opponent's Suicune is going for Calm Minds, going for Scalds, getting the burns that he needs to get. He's back to full health. Does switch out, doesn't want to face a Suicune, as Suicune shows the Roar here. Pyroar switches out into the Suicune, which goes for the Scald and does nothing to the Suicune it's facing down. He is burned, so he's going to switch out into his Togekiss at this point. Jolteon makes the good read and comes in on that. Goes for the Toxic, hitting the Zeraora on switch-in, but otherwise doesn't want to stay in on that, as the Pyroar is going to be forced to come out at this point. And Decidueye now shows, Umbreon now shows, Gligar now shows, Pyroar now shows. We're seeing some switches here, guys. Lots and lots of switches. The Heal Bell coming out, the Wish is coming out, Umbreon looking healthy. This battle, yeah, it just takes a minute, guys. Just got to give it a sec. But so far, we now see that the Stealth Rocks are gone. Ice Punch comes out from the Mega Gallade, and the Togekiss shows the Yachi Berry. So after all that, he thinks maybe he's got the situation he wants. Yachi Berry pops out. Gallade clicks the Ice Punch, freezes Togekiss. So Togekiss, which has all the tech it needs, everything it wants, it does get frozen here, which forces Playmaker to now make some really less than ideal plays. Goes out into the Scizor, a great prediction on his opponent's part, crits a Fire Punch into that Scizor, and down goes Mega Scizor without even Mega Evolving to the Mega Gallade. And now it is Zeraora's turn to try to break through Mega Gallade. So that freeze really forcing Playmaker to do a little dance here, get the Gligar forced in so he can get his Umbreon in and Heal Bell the freeze away. So thankfully it's not game ending, but it's still not ideal, as he is going to be able to Wish and Foul Play into the Pyroar. Gligar comes in, goes for the Earthquake. Nothing is going to break through this Umbreon right now, which is going to be able to switch out into the Togekiss while the Wish is up. Mega Gallade now knowing that Ice Punch will not be a one-hit KO, it'll be a two-hit KO, And so Togekiss is going to be able to fire off free air slashes, free defogs, and force his opponent into an awkward situation. That freeze ending up not costing Playmaker the game yet, but certainly not ideal, as the Jolteon is going to drop here, and the Togekiss is going to be able to just continue to click Air Slash. Ice Punch comes out from Mega Gallade again. No freeze this time. Air Slash lands, and the Mega Gallade's going to go down. And we do see Togekiss starting to do what Togekiss looked like he was going to be able to do from the beginning of this matchup, and he would have been able to do with a lot less dancing and a lot less sacking if he didn't get frozen. Scizor would obviously have still been alive, but as it stands, Togekiss is going to be able to switch out at this point on the Decidueye, which does actually critical hit the Shadow Sneak on the Umbreon, and Umbreon going to be able to wish into the Togekiss, allow that to be recovered again, and he is going to be able to continue to roost and survive. We do see it take out the Gligar. We see the Decidueye Shadow Sneak not take it out. It takes out the Decidueye. Suicune comes back in. It's going to be able to take out the Suicune. And finally, we are going to see the Pyroar come out at this point in time. Playmaker having played his outs incredibly well. Heal Bell Umbreon, always a solid Mon, but incredibly useful this week. I don't know if I've seen someone click Heal Bell more times than this for the number of different statuses that had been inflicted upon his team. There was Freeze, there was Burn, there was Toxic, all at different times. Hyper Voice comes out into the Infernape, which does survive, goes for the Vacuum Wave, and that will finish off the Pyroar. So giving the love to some other Mons, not just making sure that the Togekiss is the only Mon to be excited. And we pick up our second win, so 2-1 now in the TBL's favor. We are going to be able to move forward now, just needing 2 wins out of the last 4 matches. So we are in good shape right now, and we are seeing our man Insanity taking on his turn in this matchup. Now, Insanity is on the top of this one, not the bottom. I couldn't get his perspective this time. He forgot to save it. So we are seeing him on the top, but he does start with his Crocodile and switches out into his Roserade, staring down a Breloom, which actually goes straight first turn for a Focus Punch, which I think is pretty just stellar tech. I love that quite a bit, actually. I'm a big fan of Focus Punch Breloom. I also love the name Jib Jab. I'm a big fan of those kind of names. I've named things, I think I had a Doug trio that I named Dig Dug once, and that's Jib Jab, and I think Jib Jab and Dig Dug can be best friends. Anyway, unrelated to anything, Roserade is now setting up these spikes on his opponent's side of the field. And I just really wanted to show you guys this little sequence right here. So I didn't quite speed it up yet, since he goes out into the Crocodile. This is Insanity, mind you. This is the TBL, so I should be rooting for him. But this Mew says, I don't care about your Crocodile. I'm going to go for the Victinium Z, guys. Victinium Z is the tech this week, apparently. As we are just seeing lots and lots of Victinium Zs popping off on switches, too, by our opponents. TBL's not making those predictions. By our opponents just popping off Victinium Zs, but the TBL Mons are able to live them. They are tech to survive, and we actually see this Crocodile now is a big threat to this Mew, depending on its speed investment, but it actually shows to be a fast Mew, goes for the Aura Sphere, and is going to be able to just take out the Crocodile. So great read on the Mew's part to go for the Victinium Z instead of a Psychic-type attack as the Crocodile switched in. Couldn't help but show you guys that second Victinium Z by our opponents. I mean, I just think that's pretty good playing on their part as a team, as a whole. Anyway, Primarina Moonblast, as it is wont to do, and the Raikou is going to be able to switch in at some point, and the Megaladios now is going to be able to smack it with a Psyshock, but not live multiple Shadow Balls, and is going to have to switch out into the Piloswine, which does go for the Stealth Rocks now at this point. A great thing to have up alongside Spikes, as the Roserade is now going to be able to attack the Breloom, but the Breloom shows the tech and kills the Roserade, but Megaladios is able to revenge kill the Breloom. But the defog from the Comfey now as the Roserade has died. Certainly not ideal, as the Primarina lives the hit from the Alomomola, but then eventually dies to the Raichu, as Piloswine is going to try to go for an Earthquake, not set up rocks again, knowing the Comfey is a pretty free switch into it. There's the rocks now at this point, since it has nothing better to hit the Comfey with. Earthquake not doing that much damage, and with leftovers, it certainly isn't going to be able to win this 1v1, especially while Toxic. But I think he's hoping that he dies to Toxic, and the Defog isn't going to be able to go off on the turn that he dies to Toxic, so he is going to be able to try to keep rocks on the field. Reads the switch, goes for the Icicle Crash, misses, which allows the Raichu to survive, as the Celesteela does switch in, and it has to take an Electric-type attack instead of the Raichu being dead. It does Autotomize, so it now outspeeds, and it does straight-up kill the Dragonite. And now it's Autotomized. It goes for the Earthquake, hits the Raichu, which lived on 1 from rocks here, drops to the EQ, so we have seen Z-Fly, we have seen Earthquake, we have seen Autotomize. And if we can see Heavy Slam, the Celesteela should have the perfect set. Now, it does raise its special attack, which raises some questions about what its last move is, or whether Earthquake was just tech for the... whether that was Z Air Slash and that Earthquake was just tech. And we do actually see that right now as the Air Slash pops off and goes into the Comfey, which lives but flinches. Everybody lives but flinches, and is going to restore a little bit of leftovers. Even if it goes for Synthesis, it will die to the next Air Slash. So he goes for an Earthquake just to be 100% accurate on this Comfey. Comfey is going to drop to that Air Slash. Nope, to the Earthquake right here. So that's going to go down, and we do see the Insanity picking up a win. So we are up 3-1 against the IBA right now, just needing 1 win, and we are seeing Eon go for the first chance to get that win here. Hopefully Eon can pick it up in this battle. As Tapu Koko comes out from his opponent, Eon is going to send out Fia the Heatran, and we are going to get this 5th battle underway with the TBL up 3-1, needing 1 win out of 3 matches right now in order to claim a victory this week. Tapu Koko is going to go for the Volt Switch and fire it off, doing a ton of damage in Electric Terrain to the Heatran, which does take a little under 50% and will obviously be able to survive it, as Hydreigon's going to come out. Heatran going for the Magma Storm. Hydreigon obviously could have Superpower, could have Earth Power, could have Focus Blast. Lots of tech moves that Hydreigon can run for Heatran, and Magma Storm does not do all that much damage, but Heatran is going to choose to switch out and go out into the Electric Seed Sylveon, which is forced to switch back into the Heatran as the Jirachi goes for the Hidden Power Ground, takes out the Heatran, U-turns into the Leafeon, which knockoffs the Hydreigon's Assault Vest, as Hydreigon goes for the U-turn. And we do see this thing just being momentum-based, his opponent going with lots and lots of momentum. Wish Protect from the Leafeon is going to allow it to come back to pretty full health, but we do see the Guardian of Alola popping off. I slowed down on this just because I love this animation and I never get to see it, so you guys have to deal with the fact that I am slowing down and watching the animation with you guys. But Guardian of Alola coming out from the Tapu Koko right here is going to do 75% cleanly to this Leafeon, and that is more damage than I think he was expecting to take from this, although Brave Bird would do a lot of damage, so hard to know if Eon was predicting a Guardian of Alola or what he was exactly predicting. Wish does come out, and he is going to be able to protect at this point, as the Tapu Koko isn't going to be able to take him out, and his leftovers are going to put him back towards pretty full. Leaf Blade finally, an attack comes off, as he is going to be able to go for another Wish at this point. Tapu Koko threatened out as the rain starts up once and for all. The Pelipper toxics the Rotom on switch-in, and goes out into the Ferroseed. The Rotom switching out into the Leafeon on the Ferroseed here, which is threatened out, goes out into the Hydreigon. Since we already have seen the knockoff, we know that Ferroseed does not want to lose its Eviolite, as the Leafeon is going to Wish Protect to keep itself very, very healthy. Hurricane does not take it out, and he knocks off the Damp Rock at this point, which is pretty fantastic. Leafeon is going to continue to stay alive, as Rotom is going to be the switch into the Pelipper, as the Swampert now comes in on the Rotom's Volt Switch. Mega Swampert popping off. Rain has stopped. Rotom is going to be able to go for the Toxic before the Swampert is going to be able to attack. Rotom living the hit. Swampert shows its own Toxic as it hits the Sylveon, and the Jirachi now comes in and is going to threaten that Sylveon out into the Rotoms, and Headbutt comes out and is going to kill the Rotom at this point before U-turning off of the Mew, which Earth powers as the Hydreigon comes in, but shows the Dazzling Gleam and is going to be able to take that out. Mew, knowing it doesn't outspeed the Jirachi, is going to switch out since Iron Head flinching is real. Sylveon is forced to drop. Kyurem Black comes in. It is not Scarfed. The Jirachi gets the flinch on the Kyurem Black and is able to go for another Iron Head here and take it out. Kyurem Black did have a chance to live one Iron Head right there, but with the flinch, it was unable to live another. So now it is going to be up to Mew versus the world. It can live an Iron Head, potentially, and it actually does live it, and it goes for the Rock Polish here, so it will outspeed and not have to risk getting flinched, but it isn't going to be able to one-shot this Jirachi. Goes for the Earth Power. We see it do about 50%, which is great damage, but when Iron Head is being fired your way and killing you, it's not enough damage. And finally, the last Mon is going... Oh, wait, we gotta wait. But the last Mon is going to be the Leafeon here, which is not going to outspeed the Jirachi, and is not going to be able to take a hit from the Jirachi, and is not going to be able to do much at all here in this moment. So it's going to drop, and Jirachi is going to win the game for our opponent. So it is now 3-2 in favor of the TBL. Now, next up, we are showcasing my battle right here, and I am taking on... I had to go on to Showdown. My opponent couldn't get his Charger, so he had to battle on Showdown. So hopefully you guys aren't too bothered by that, as we are going to immediately go for a U-turn off of this Mandibuzz. I feel really, really proud of myself. I've knocked off the Milotic on Switch In, knocking off the Flame Orb. I was making reads in this game left and right. For context, I was actually streaming live on Twitch Fire Emblem Three Houses. This battle was recorded on release day, and I was literally streaming that while doing this battle and just making reads left and right. But this is where things start going haywire. So I do 40% or 50% to the Sylveon, miss my Diamond Storm as he goes for a Wish. He then follows that up with a Protect. I figure Diamond Storm's still going to kill if he doesn't have Protect. He does. He's at -1, so I go for the Diamond Storm. It does 80%. I get the defense boost. He goes for the Hyper Voice, crits me. So what is a -1 special attack? He crits me straight up. Goes for the Protect at this point as the Icicle Crash comes out from the Mamoswine. And I decided not to try to pretend to be Scarfed. I've already missed my Diamond Storm. I'm not going to try to risk anything right there, as I am going to switch out my Mamoswine on this Milotic, which does get the chance to just freely recover. I predict the Mandibuzz coming in and go straight for a U-turn right here, out into my Rotom Heat. And I'm not sure if he's going to go Mamoswine, but I figure why take a risk? I'm just going to straight Willow, and there's the Mamoswine tanking a Will-O-Wisp. He tries to set up his Stealth Rocks. I set up a Light Screen at this point with my Rotom, knowing that I'm perfectly safe. And then I'm going to be able to go out into my Decidueye. He misses his Icicle Crash, so a little bit of hacks for hacks right there. So that's all well and good. Lands it this time. I have the Yachi Berry, so we are going to be able to survive that. He's also burned. And we just fire off a Leaf Storm, straight take out the Mamoswine, as Decidueye. That was really for the Milotic, but Decidueye's done its job, and I'm going to let it drop here. As I am going to be able to go out into Muck now on this Mienshao, and go for the Poison Jab, get the Poison. I am Poison Touch, so lots of chance, like 60% chance to Poison. Then I go for the Pursuit, knowing he's probably going to try to switch out and kill the Mienshao, which was a win con for him, so I was really happy that that happened. Rotom switches in, he goes for the Scald, through the Light Screen, crits me. Kills my Rotom, kills my win con. So now it's up to flinching, which we all know does not go well for me. But I predict that he's going to go Mandibuzz here, so I'm going to go out into my Muck, expecting that Mandibuzz to come in. And it does exactly that. He's going to be forced to go back into the Milotic. I really don't want to get the Poison Touch right there, and thankfully I don't. As Jirachi is going to come back in, I predict he's going to recover. And I'm going to actually trick the Choice Band onto the Milotic, hoping he'd go for a Recover or something. He goes for the Scald, doesn't burn. Heart Stamp does flinch him, so that's good. Now I know he's going to go Mandibuzz, but I still just want to stay in and try to click Heart Stamp, see what I can do. It doesn't hit the Mandibuzz. I know that I can... I'm not Choice Band anymore, but I don't get the flinch on the Mandibuzz, unfortunately, and Jirachi is going to go down. Now, Mamoswine's here. We've got chances to win this game. Icicle Crash doesn't quite take out the Mandibuzz. Foul Play doesn't take out the Mamoswine. So I know we aren't out of it yet. I'm going to Ice Shard, and I think we have a shot here. Legitimate shot. I'm going to fire off the Ground EMZ. All we need is for this to kill. It doesn't kill. He Scalds, takes out the Mamoswine, and I'm like, all right, this game's not over. This Muck is still incredibly bulky. I Shadow Sneak and take out the Milotic as the Thunderous comes in. Thunderbolts doesn't kill. I have a 60% chance to poison with Poison Jab. I win if I do. I don't. We see the Poison Touch come out on the Shadow Sneak, which we see leaves him with 12%. You know how much damage Poison does? 12%. So I would have been able to win that game had I not had I gotten that Poison, but unfortunately that's the way it goes. So it's 3-3 right now. It's up to Beta at this point, and hopefully Beta is going to be able to pick up the win here. He's going to lead with his Qwilfish, and his opponent is going to lead with Victini. Victini going for the U-turn and hitting that Rocky Helmet. A little bit of scouting chip there, but the Toxic Spikes from Beta going up on his opponent's side of the field. His only form of removal. Actually, he doesn't look like he has any removal on his team, so Beta's Toxic Spikes and Spikes are going to be there to stay. His opponent decides to set up the Stealth Rock at this point. Qwilfish is going to be able to continuously set up hazards and continue firing off these Spikes here, as the Victini is the choice to come in. Predicting a Bolt Strike, he's going to go out into his Donphan. That's exactly what comes his way. Victini takes extra Toxic Chip. Celesteela comes out as the Donphan is going to Rapid Spin away the Stealth Rocks on his side of the field and go out into the Qwilfish again at this point, as the Celesteela fires off a Toxic, which does not hit the Qwilfish, which can finish setting up its Spikes, as the Leech Seed comes out and hits the Qwilfish. Now, Celesteela obviously not being affected by Spikes or Toxic Spikes is something that he's going to have to deal with throughout the duration of this game. Since he is going to have to somehow figure out a way to break this Celesteela, as Qwilfish is getting worn down now by this Leech Seed. Maybe it has Pain Split, we're not entirely sure at this moment in time, but he's not revealing it, and with that much damage from the Heavy Slam, he is going to have to lose his Qwilfish at this point. Goes out into his Blacephalon on this Celesteela. Goes for the Shadow Ball, predicting a switch. Now is forced to switch out himself as he is choiced, and his opponent probably predicting that is going to be able to just Leech Seed into the Donphan, which is going to be able to stay in on that Leech Seed and Rapid Spin away the Seeds, which is exactly what it does. It does 16% to a Houndoom. That's like not negligible damage as the Toxic begins to wear down this Houndoom, which goes to the Dark Pulse and hits the Bronzong, which does have the Culber Berry, but doesn't allow it to survive 2 when the second one is a crit. Doesn't necessarily guarantee it would have survived 2 anyway, even if the second one wasn't a crit, because the first one did 35%, which is double to 70, and he had 65 HP left, so who knows, but Bronzong goes down. Down goes the Mega Houndoom to the Tornadus, as the Donphan goes for the Ice Shard, and it becomes clear at this point that Beta's answer to Celesteela is his Blacephalon, and Blacephalon gets walled by Victini and Seismitoad, and he needs a safe switch into it in order to make it happen. So Donphan is going to be forced to go down here to Toxics, to whatevers, and actually fires off a counter, hoping he's going to catch that Heavy Slam. That's not what his opponent goes for. He goes for the Protect there, and Donphan goes down. Beast Boost in the special defense, so even now the Blacephalon won't be able to take out the Celesteela. So he goes onto the Tornadus, trying to bait out, I don't know what, but goes down to the Tornadus and hits it with a Heat Wave before going into the Blacephalon. His opponent does not make any prediction that he's going to double out there, and Blacephalon is going to be able to trick the Scarf onto the Celesteela, taking the leftovers. Not sure I necessarily agree with that, or if he was predicting a switch into something like this Seismitoad last turn. The Flamethrower is going to come out and do a decent amount of damage, but not putting it in range of another Flamethrower. So he's going to Shadow Ball at this point since he doesn't have the Scarf anymore. Gets the Beast Boost in his special attack. Zeraora is going to come out now, and without the Scarf, the Blacephalon is going to be forced to switch out into the Altaria, which now has to take a neutral Plasma Fist. It doesn't resist yet, and is going to be Mega Evolving at this point, as the Zeraora is just going to Volt Switch. Doesn't want to deal with it, but does outspeed and threaten the Blacephalon, so it has to be taken into account that Zeraora is not going to just go down lightly and easily. As the Mega Altaria is going to roost here as the Shaman comes in, go for the Return, which does a decent amount of damage with the Pixelate boost. More Leech Seed, though, of course, being annoying as the Mega Altaria goes for the Roost, as the Shaman shows Rest at this point. So he can't wear it down just by not doing nothing, but he is going to try to go for a Dragon Dance here. And the Celesteela does come in. The Leech Seed, he's going to be forced out into his Blacephalon, and the Celesteela goes for the Heavy Slam. It is Choice Scarfed Celesteela, so he's going to have to switch out his Blacephalon. And the Victini is what comes in on the Tornadus switch in. Now, Tornadus goes for the Hurricane and takes out the Victini, but Zeraora is still a big problem for him, as he's going to have to go out into his Altaria every time, and his opponent might start being able to make that read very, very soon. So Altaria is going to be surviving hits, but it's not going to be able to really take out the Celesteela, and his opponent seems to have figured that out, as the Earthquake comes out To Barn comes out the Tornadus, the Heavy Slam fired off at it. U-turn, switching out. He predicts his opponent not to want to stay in. That's not what happens. His opponent decides to fire off another Heavy Slam and hit the Altaria. And at this point, it's just a matter of breaking Celesteela. Does he get the burn? No. Heavy Slam comes out. Then he goes into his Shaman as this Tornadus is worn down tremendously. Misses a Heat Wave on the Shaman. Who knows how much damage that would have done. He misses another Heat Wave on the Shaman. That probably would have done a non-negligible amount of damage. 2 Heat Waves on a Shaman, I would say that's probably something you would rather have hit rather than miss. But the Blacephalon comes in and takes it out. But now, without the Tornadus being alive, without the Altaria being alive, it's Zeraora versus the Blacephalon. And, of course, the Blacephalon, without the Choice Scarf, isn't going to be able to handle that and is going to drop. And with that, the IBA wins against the TBL here in Week 5, 4-3. We went out to a pretty good advantage, but we weren't able to close out the deal. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week, though. We are coming back next week in Week 6 as we take on the PGBL in the second-to-last week. If we lose there, we are eliminated from playoff contention, but right now there's still technically a mathematical possibility that we make it, so we are going to play with everything we've got. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys back here next week. Take care, everybody.